All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Pables and Jables, where us non-critics criticize the movies and TV shows that we're currently watching. I'm JB,
Right?
and today we'll be covering season two, episode five of the HBO series The Last of Us. And this episode is titled "Feel Her Love." Um, Usually, I would have you start the recap, Brian. I'm gonna start off this time.
Okay, love it.
This on a positive. I'm gonna start us on a positive note for this episode of the podcast. 'Cause I think last episode, we were a little negative, rightfully so. I don't think either of us were too happy with the episode. Uh,
Yeah.
I actually thought this episode kind of got us back on track. I actually like this is actually one of my favorites of the season, I would say so far. Um, I thought it had kind of a little bit of everything, like almost every faction of enemy that like Ellie and Dina are dealing with. You kind of got in this
Yeah.
episode. I thought it made sense. Like I thought kind of everything they did made sense to me. Like all the moves they made and even like the justification why they did it. Even though some of it they even kind of admitted, like Dina and Ellie like admitted, yeah, this is could go bad, but like this is our only option. So I think a lot of that made sense. We got the wolves, we got the scars, we got the infected, we got Jesse, bro. Jesse showed up, like that was hype. That was awesome. I was not expecting that, so I'm glad like we got a character that we like back in the mix, back in the.
Yes.
Uh,
And some competency, please.
yes, yes.
Oh my God, somebody take charge of this shit show.
Yeah. So I just thought, yeah, I thought it was a good episode overall. There are some things here and there for sure that is
Sure.
still kind of bothering me, but I also thought, and obviously we'll talk about all this in detail, but I thought this was a good episode for Ellie. Like I thought the end of this episode was kind of the Ellie that people have been wanting, and we got her. I thought they did that part really well. Obviously, not knowing how it's done in the game, I don't know like how the comparison goes. We can talk about that, but I thought that whole kind of last scene was really good, and the spore stuff was I thought incredible. Like the way
Yeah.
they did that, I thought made total sense
Yeah.
and like introducing it in the beginning made sense. And like even like for the audience, like we kind of knew it was coming when they're going down to the elevator shaft, and that's because they had that first opening scene. So I thought that made it like all the more tense and just like the design of like the fungus in that basement was just wild. Like, it was so creepy
Mhm.
and so well done. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my take overall on the episode. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. I did have some pretty mixed reactions. I did like the ending. That's kind of that rageful Ellie that we have been waiting for sure, right? I did think there were some tonal issues. She goes from, Lovebird, plays Joel's song, and then starts to lock in. And then, they stumble into the park after a whole disastrous shit show in that building where they try to cut across. And then she just happens to stumble upon the hospital just by pure luck. She kind of just sneaks into a hole and then boom, there's Nora. And I was like, okay, not exactly part of the plan, but okay, I guess it worked.
Yeah.
So that did seem a little bit overly fortuitous to me. But I did really think the ending was pretty strong. So and I think they really took a different route where in the game it was, Ellie was just so angry. But here, she kind of gives that look that where in season one, she kind of messes around with like the one of the infected and like cuts its face with a knife. Do you remember that in season one? Yeah, and that was pretty different than the Ellie in the video game, who was never really a fan of violence like that.
Mhm.
And we kind of saw some of that start to come out in some of Bella Ramsey's performance, where, she was like the faces that she was making. And, it was definitely a little bit darker than what I was expecting and a different route. So I definitely like that a lot. Really interesting, unique take on it. I'm not a fan of the spores, though. Aesthetically, really big fan, but for me, I think it was, you know, my thing is, why are they introducing it now? It was always a part of the whole video game, right? Since the first game and into the second game. And in the second game, it's how Ellie proves to Dina right away that she is completely immune is because she's just breathing in all these spores, right? And the answer that I came up with was because the creative team couldn't figure out a way for Nora to believe that Ellie was the girl, right? In a very simple, easy, clean-cut way. So then they decided to reintroduce the spores, which they haven't done in at all up to this
Yeah,
point.
I
So
haven't done. Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, so if it's been airborne this whole time, where has the spores been? Were they able to just contain the whole airborne infection here within that little basement of the hospital? And that's just where all the spores are in the entire world? So now, I think it just introduces a lot of questions as to where the hell have the spores been this entire
Yeah.
time. So I'm not sure I like it. It does also kind of seem like it's not really committing to the vision either for me. So but yeah, we could talk about that more later as well. But
Yeah.
uh, mostly good. I thought strong finish. And then I really loved the way they introduced Jesse. It was very similar to the video game where I mean, it looked like it was going to be Joel, right? The silhouette
Yeah.
and the hand in camera, right?
They're messing with
Ellie's
us.
face being like, is that? Could
Yeah.
it be? And I really like the way they portrayed that too. So. But yeah, overall mixed feelings, I think. Mostly good though. I will lean towards good, just because there's a bit more that I liked that I did liked.
Yeah, I'd say let's talk about the spores stuff because like that's kind of how the episode opens and ends. I think you bring up a good point. Like it's going to probably bring up a lot of questions of where have these been in the last
Yeah.
25, 30 years, however long it's been, right? Since the outbreak. I don't know. I mean, you could explain it, right? Like you could say, well, maybe it's like the fungus needs a really like wet and damp, dark place to grow, and they're in Seattle, which is like, as you know, one of the
Mhm.
wettest cities in the country, and I mean it's a rainforest, right? Technically, and it's like in these basement wings of this hospital, where I guess like I think they established in the beginning that they like when I guess the outbreak first started, they like put the first infected in this basement or something. So because the one guy they actually show like who's like pinned against the wall by all the fungus is actually in
Yeah.
scrubs,
Yeah.
and so
Day
I'm
one. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is that like
Mhm.
a guy from day one, like a doctor
Great
who's been
catch.
for 20 something fucking years, or is that like
Great catch.
that
Yes.
a doctor of like one of the wolves who's recently down there? I
Oh,
don't know. I don't know if they told us, but dude, if that's like a guy that's been down there for 25 years or whatever it's been, that's insane.
yeah.
Like,
I also think just the way that these bodies are open-eyed, clearly, obviously dead, but completely controlled by the cordyceps and just breathing out spores like
yeah,
really creepy, I
I
think
mean, it's so creepy.
yeah, I another thing about that bothers me is that, they just went so out of the way to avoid spores in season one. Just so out of the way. And they cut out some really tense moments from the game in order to avoid doing anything related to spores, related to gas masks and things like that. So, I just like for them to introduce it now just for
Yeah,
this one scene, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of. But aesthetically, obviously, this is the guy that made Chernobyl, and that really came out here, especially in like the cinematography and the way and the creepiness that the cordyceps just spread around all throughout the hallways
yeah.
and the different interpretations of that I thought were brilliant. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even like, yeah, the part where like they're literally just breathing out the spores. I'm like, that's
crazy.
just, yeah, it's crazy. And
And
Ellie's
that's
just
all they do. That's
on
all
there like looking at
the
him like
doctor, that's all he's done for 20 years, bro. He's just
that
breathing out
is.
spores,
But
dude.
when you say they're dead, I'm like, are they?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Are they? I don't
are they
know.
are they in pain? Like I don't know. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean but I guess what I was saying is like I get they could explain it just being like, oh well, the spores are new. Like maybe they're just new and
Yeah.
they grew in this spot. I'm sure like they're in other parts of the world, but
Yeah.
like, you need a really like damp, dark place where like the fungus has been for a very long time for this to happen. I don't know. I mean, and I'll be curious to see like, is this sports thing going to be something that they keep bringing up? Like, are we going to keep seeing it going forward in the rest of the season and
Yeah.
next season, or is it just like, did they just do it for this one scene?
That would
Which
be whack. That
that
would
would be
be
kind
so
of whack.
whack.
Which I think it worked perfectly for the scene. Like, I
Yeah.
think everything worked with like Nora running down there and all that. But like, yeah, for them to just not bring it up again at all would be kind of like, okay,
So
that doesn't
whack.
make any
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
But I will say though, if this is another constant theme, cordyceps are overpowered. At least in the video game, it was just spores. In the show now, it's spores, tendrils,
It's
hive mind,
OP, dude.
hordes, dude. What a problem. What a problem.
It's
Joel, you
OP.
fucked up. Joel, you
Yeah.
fucked up.
Oh, wow. God. Yeah. I don't know, man. Um, so I don't know. Like, yeah. I mean, do we want to talk about the Ellie Norris scene now, or do we want to wait?
Let's talk about that after, since
Okay.
it's
Okay.
since it's the very ending of the game. I do want to talk about that beginning of the scene where it seems really lovey-dovey, and then she goes to the stage, and honestly, I am not a fan of the way that they are developing this romance. Honestly, not a fan at all. It's just not really working for me. Um, but. Outside of a couple of scenes that we will talk about, I thought the way that Dina delivered her backstory was really good. But right now, I think they're putting in a little bit too much time in terms of developing this. Where there's too much to do. They basically have 2 episodes left. There's so much to do, and I just don't know if they're using it accordingly. But what I did really like was when Ellie goes up to the stage and she starts playing a song. And I'm sure this will come up later, but that song is very, very important in the game. Really important song. And she starts playing it, can't even finish the first verse, and then locks in, dude. And that's what I needed. And then she puts the guitar down and then starts really like just getting focused in terms
In
of what
mugging.
she's here to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a little confused by that scene. So that song I imagine is like really important for between her and Joel, I would imagine. And so when she starts playing that, she starts being reminded of why she's there and what they're trying to do. And then because they started playing this like somber, like kind of dark tone, like in like behind the scene, like she's playing the guitar and they start playing this dark
Mm.
tone, like something bad's gonna happen. I was like, this is interesting. Like what are they doing here? And
Yeah.
then Dina busts through. She's like, I figured it out. So I didn't quite understand what was going on. I guess maybe I should have known that that was like an important song, but I don't know if they made it
I
that clear to
don't
the
know.
audience.
In
Like,
the it in the video game, it's something that they introduced through a flashback as the like
yeah.
one of the first 3 scenes of the game is like a really quick flashback of Joel basically giving her guitar lessons.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, they're either doing it later, which I would assume they will, or they've just cut it out.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it feels like we could get that in this next episode from the way
yeah.
they did
Well,
it.
I don't know, dude. This next flashback could be one of 4 different things,
Okay.
all of them equally important, dude. All of them super
Maybe
important.
they
So,
do everything. Like,
yeah,
I'm wondering if
I,
they just do all of them in one episode.
that would be.
I
See,
could see
that's
it
that's what
though.
I don't like, dude. And some of these, I thought some of those flashbacks would have been a really great way to open up an episode. Instead of the spores thing, having thrown in a flashback like that to start this episode would have been
Yeah, that's
really.
definitely what I thought they would do. Like knowing that there are flashbacks in the game, I definitely thought that's how they were going to approach
Yeah.
this. We haven't seen one at all
We haven't seen a single flashback, dude. I'm
until
like,
the very
what?
end of this episode, and then that's why I'm assuming next episode is
Yeah.
going to be maybe not all of it, but a lot of it might be a flashback.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, we'll
It's
see.
killing me though, man. There's the way that they are narratively structuring this so far. I can't say I'm a huge fan of just because, I'm like, by now many things are already fleshed out. So basically, the only thing left is Ellie and Abby's story so that we can basically just lock the fuck in
Yeah,
and really focus on this revenge. And here, like for whatever reason, they're saving everything for either the season finale or there's still so much we haven't seen. We just got introduced to Seraphites as a whole, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions there too. Like, what is even going on between the wolves and Cerebites? I mean, we know they're like killing each other, but I don't really know any backstory. Like, I don't know exactly even why or like, and
yeah.
from what I'm gathering, there's like these two like separate factions of Seraphites, like because they reference like the one is like I think the wolves said or someone said like they think the
Hmm.
one faction is the one like killing them, the other one's like the more peaceful one. So I don't know, it seemed like there's some divide there, but we just haven't really gotten a lot on them. I mean, it's just like we just know they have scars on their face and they have like this religious like deity that
Yeah.
they like, I don't know, yeah, like they like praise or whatever, and but we don't even know much about all that. Like this prophet they keep talking about, we keep seeing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot
Hey,
going on.
dope scene though. Dope scene though. When the guy just
Brutal,
lets him pull him
dude.
up pulls the rope up and just lets the scythe just cut his belly open like that. I was like, oh,
Brutal.
that is brutal.
That's so brutal, dude. Like, what an awful way to go. Oh my God.
Yeah. But in the video game, this is one of like the very first real fights you have against the Seraphites, and it's intense because you're basically hunting Nora down to the hospital, and you try to cut through this park, and Ellie's going through this park, and then she just gets blasted by an arrow, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And then has to take it out, and then all you hear is whistling and torches in the darkness, and you have to basically like it's like a whole sneak thing, and you have to basically take them out. But it is intense part of the game, and it's so good.
Yeah,
Uh,
they didn't really do that here. I mean, we didn't like she didn't fight him yet. She hasn't fought any of the scars yet. I assume that
yeah,
will come at some point. But this was kind of more of just like they were there, they hid, and then they just like dipped. So I don't know. That would have been
yeah,
cool though to
yeah,
see some actual like interaction there between them.
yeah. But yeah, and then Jesse gets introduced, which I'm very excited to see Jesse, and I'm hoping, but now that we only have 2 episodes left, I'm not sure, I have no idea how they're going to do this, but I am hoping to see Jesse also get properly fleshed out in this game as well. So or in the show. So I'm excited to see Mazzino and his portrayal. And there's a couple of really important game moments coming up from the game involving Jesse as well, and he becomes a big player. So excited to see that.
Yeah, that was cool. Like I said in the beginning, I'm glad he got introduced back into the mix because first of all, they were effed. Like they were so screwed. I mean, that was it. That was it. They had like 8 stalkers on them, and I was like, yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
done.
From
Uh,
the beginning,
yeah.
this whole thing has been a mistake from the
Oh my
beginning.
God, it has been a suicide mission. Yeah, it really has. So they need some help now. I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't think Jesse's there to carry out this mission. He's like, no, we're going back. Like, we're done with this shit. Um,
Yeah. That
so
is a change from the game though. In the game he was able to track Ellie down and was like, I'm not letting you do this on your own and is like there to help. So we'll see how they handle that.
Well, and he mentioned that Tommy's there, so he came with Tommy. We didn't see Tommy in that,
Yes.
but Tommy's
Yes.
there. So
It's it's about time,
yeah,
bro.
I was wondering how they would get both of them back in the mix since it wasn't following what the game did. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it is now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm assuming we'll see Tommy next episode, or if that, or the last one if next episode's all a flashback. But I'm excited to get back to some Tommy,
Dude.
dude. I like him. He's a good character.
Yo, be hype. All right. This better be good. I don't
And
know
I haven't
what.
even seen what he can do. Like as a show watcher, I mean, we have a little bit like the Jackson scene. He held his own pretty well, but like that was really it. I mean, we haven't really seen what Tommy's capable of in
Yeah.
terms of like violence and whatnot. So I do hope they give us a little bit of the like the harder Tommy, not the soft Tommy.
I need it. I
Yeah,
need it. Come on.
yeah,
I will say though, when Jesse saves their asses because they were completely fucked,
yeah,
um, and then is taking them through the park, and Ellie's like trying to take control back, and she's like, "I'm not going back," or whatever, and then Jesse looks back and is like, "Do I look like I want to fucking talk to you right
yeah.
now?"
He's like, I
So
know.
satisfying, dude. So satisfying.
Oh, dude, and
So
she
satisfying,
shuts
dude.
up.
Yeah.
Or he says something, and she just like she doesn't say anything. I'm like, oh God, thank God, dude. Like she needs
I'm
to.
like, dude, please, Ellie,
Yeah.
you are over your head right now,
Oh
please.
my God.
Let this man save your life, dude. You're so screwed.
I mean, I thought that dude, that stalker scene again,
Yeah.
another excellent scene with
Yeah.
infected. I thought they did that so well, where they like see the one, she's like, oh, I know what this is. This is what I dealt with back in Jackson. Like we could, we'll flank them, blah, blah. And then they go up, and then there's two more, I think. And
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
okay, now there's three. It's okay. We can still do it. And then Dina's like, yeah, no. And then there's like three or four more behind him. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, and like their design is so creepy. I mean, like they make like human sounds, like they're like crying and whimpering. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
creepy.
yeah. Like the crying angels. I think is it that what you said? In Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, it was like the witch. It was like
The
the witch
witch, the
like
witch. Yeah,
crying. Like, oh,
yeah,
like you're like, I'm gonna turn a corner, and she's there, and she just messes you up.
yeah.
Like it
And they
was
just
just
start sprinting at you.
exactly, yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, I thought that was such a cool scene. And then Jesse showing up. Dude, I mean, like Dina, another example where we see these infected just like have superhuman strength, which I still don't quite get. Like she runs to the cage, right? And then she like locks it, and then the stalker's literally just ripping this metal fence
Metal. Yeah,
with its hands. And I'm like, I don't know. That part I don't quite understand. Like, I don't have a problem with it. Whatever. Like, maybe the fungus like just gives you like constant adrenaline, so you just,
yeah,
like, it's like a person not feeling pain, so they just go as hard as they can. It was the same thing with like the bloater punching through the, the wall, like the fucking logs at Jackson. I was just like, okay, I don't know
yeah,
really like how that works, but whatever. I
yeah.
don't know.
And then also, I couldn't help but think, wouldn't that have been a better strategy if the both of them went in the fence, and then they just picked them off as they were
Shooting.
trying to get through the fence? Yeah. Also, Dina's like, hey, like if we have to shoot or run, we run. And then they're in the scenario and Dina's just
I mean, yeah, but at that point there was really no. I mean, they
yeah.
were screwed. Like they had to. Dude, you know
Yeah.
what I thought when I thought it was crazy when one of the stalkers runs up to the cage when Stina gets in there, and Ellie just turns around and shoots. And I'm like, dude, Dina could have caught a stray and been dead.
But blasted it in the head, I guess.
Yeah, John Wicked it, like just
Yeah, main
headshot
character energy,
in the
bro.
dark
Yeah.
while like other infected are on her,
Yeah.
and she just shoots, and Dina's like right there. I'm like, that could have been fucking it right there. Like you could have just killed your lover, and then that's it. I mean, what now? What? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Yeah. So like that's what I mean. Some of it. I mean, listen, like you're in the heat of the moment. You're not thinking clearly. You're just like trying to survive. So I didn't really have
Yeah.
a problem with it. I just thought it was crazy how
Yeah.
some of it like went down.
Yeah.
But
I did like that Dina kept Ellie's secret though. I thought that was cool.
yes.
But
Also, but dude, Jesse, but like, come on. Like
yeah,
that part, I was like, Jesse, like, be smart. Like, she probably got bit. Like, you got to
yeah,
check this.
she was ganged up on. All right, there were literally like three of them on
Yeah,
top of her.
yeah,
Okay, minimum, she's walking away with one bite, dude. I gotta see that for myself. I gotta see
exactly.
that for myself.
Like, I'm like, we get out of here, and then I check. We like do a
Yeah,
check. Like, I
that
want to see.
yeah, that ain't
It's
that's not a yes or no question, dude. I'm not.
no,
That's not. I'm not even asking. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. And Dina's, and yeah, I agree that like Dina kept the secret. She's like, no, I swear she didn't get bit. But like, if I
yeah,
were Jesse, like, dude, had two on you. Like, there's no way you would have seen it. And it's
you.
you're in a dark room. Like, there's no get the fuck out of here, you two. Like, I'm not hearing it.
Yeah,
But I mean, again, they were under duress, so like they
yeah,
just had to keep moving.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I
But
thought that was another great scene.
yeah. Very excited to see Jesse get fleshed out. But like you said, I am most excited for Tommy, dude. Okay. Now that Tommy is here, I need to see some shit. Okay. I need to see some action. All right. I need to see this guy making some moves. All right. And it's time to really start raising the body count. Okay. There's a lot of people that are still alive that are already dead in the game, and I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even seen Abby since episode 2. Haven't seen her at all.
Who's that?
I mean, the only
Who's
right,
that?
yeah, yeah. The only people we saw from that crew was Nora in this, and then we saw I think his name's Manny. Like he's like at the watchtower, like when they get to
Yeah.
Seattle. But that was it. So we haven't even seen really that crew, and I'm like been really like I don't know, yeah, anxious to like get to that part. So I'm glad at least like that's seems like it's in motion. Right now, like she had the scene with Nora, and like we'll see. Did Nora tell her? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll
But that's a really interesting choice to me, right? Because we see Abby destroy Joel, and then we just never check in with her again for another until what? Probably the season finale. We might see her next episode, but I think the whole episode might be a flashback at this point. So
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
like, I just so then, in the in our initial conversation, we talked about, how I thought I knew where the game or this season would cut off, and I was so off. Unless this seventh episode covers like 15 hours of the game in one blow, I am very off. Okay.
Which I hope it doesn't, because that's
Yeah.
like way too much to pack into an
It's just
hour.
yeah, but there's a lot. There's so much. There's
Yeah.
just so much in the game, and this is still the intro part of the game. Like, to be honest, like we have barely covered the video game. I want to say this is maybe like 6 hours into the video game. So maybe even less. Yeah. Like the game, it progresses things very quickly, right? So I mean, even it took 3 episodes for us to get to like the end of the first hour of the video game, right? So I just yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe they don't, it already seems like they're not doing everything in the show that they did in the game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, I feel like you're already kind of expecting for a lot to not happen in the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long the second season's going to be. So like maybe it'll be longer and they can fit more in. Who knows? I mean, time will tell. But
We'll see.
yeah, I do want to talk about the conversation between Dina and Ellie about when Dina gives her backstory, because I actually thought that was a really good
Ah, yes.
part and that made a lot of sense. So this is where like they're walking through, they find this pile of dead scars, some of them like women, and maybe there was like a child in there. I don't know, but it messes them up. Like I don't know, it's just another reminder of like how fucked up Seattle is, and they're like, wow. And that's when it really like clicks with Ellie, like, why? What are we doing? Like, this is not good. Which I had a little bit of a problem with. It's like, why is that hitting you?
Oh, was that the trigger?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a trigger. And it wasn't when
Oh,
you literally got up in the last episode to the top of the building and there was a whole battlefield going on in the
yeah.
entire city. Like,
Li-
or the people hanging with their guns.
Yeah, literally the day before you saw four people
Yeah,
hanging from ropes with their intestines out.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
it was safe then, okay?
That part I didn't lie. Just like that just didn't make sense to me. Like narratively, it's like that shouldn't be the trigger. You're already triggered. Like you're already had this thought of like we shouldn't do this, and you already made that decision to do it. But whatever. I did think like that kind of led into the conversation when Dina just and then said, "You didn't ask me about the first person I killed," and then she talks about this whole backstory with I
Hmm.
guess there are raiders when she was like 8 or whatever in Santa Fe. I think she said Santa Fe
I
or
forget the location.
yeah, somewhere in like New Mexico, I want to say. But yeah, and she basically had to kill this like raider who like killed her mom and sister, and she
Hmm.
basically said, I would like I killed him, but like if he were alive today, I would do everything to find him and kill him. So, and then she kind of gives Ellie the choice, like, I will do what you want to do. Like, I will go through with this and try to kill Abby and, avenge Joel, or we can go back. And, Ellie decides to go through with it. But I thought that whole scene, like, definitely made sense.
Yeah.
Good.
And so to be clear, Ellie in the video game didn't even give Dina a choice. It was, you're not coming with me anymore. You are now staying at that theater
Mm,
and basically being like the oracle to the Batman. So, but in this one, it's very evident Ellie cannot do this on her own.
yeah.
She's
Not
like,
capable.
yeah, she just can't do it. It's beyond the means of her ability.
Yeah.
So if it's even going to be possible, she needs help. She needs Dina, she needs Jesse, she needs Tommy. She needs help in order to do this. It's not a solo thing like it was in the video game, right?
Yeah.
So I did like the fact that Dina gave her the choice, and Ellie realized that getting revenge to her was more important than basically, than risking the life of somebody that she loves and this baby, I guess. So, yet another dark but selfish, importantly selfish choice that Ellie makes for
Yep.
herself to get this revenge, right? So,
But I think Dina, that's a good point. I don't know. Did you think Dina saw it that way? Because Dina seemed like, I feel like the whole point of Dina telling her backstory was to basically tell Ellie, like, I totally get why you want to do this, and I'm here for it. Like, I will do this with you if you want, because I totally understand. So, like, I don't know if Dina saw it that way. Like, she gave the decision. Ellie said, "Oh no, we want to do this," and Dina's like, "Oh well, okay, that means you're risking my life. So like, maybe you don't."
No, not necessarily, but I think, but that is what she's doing though,
No,
right?
absolutely, you're right.
It
Yes,
is what,
for sure. So yeah,
yeah,
agreed. Yeah, like that's what the audience should understand. Like,
yeah,
Ellie's making this selfish choice to go through with
yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah, right. But yeah, I agree. I don't think Dina sees it that way, but but I did really like her backstory as well. That was pretty well fleshed out. That was something that was included on their initial horseback ride to Seattle, and
Hmm.
she just kind of opens up there. But I like that they saved that for something with a little bit for a scene with a little bit more impact in order to help flesh her out. So that was a good idea too. Yeah. Should we talk about Nora then?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I guess let's start from like the park, right, to
Yes.
getting her getting in the hospital. So, I mean, agreed. Like, it's very fortuitous for her to just like walk out of this tree once the Scarlet
Dude,
leave, and then she just like sees the hospital through the park. Oh, there it is. Boom, we're good to go. Um, agreed. I mean, listen, dude, that's kind of where I like most things in movies, shows, and video games are fortuitous. Like, no one would ever be able to do this shit in real life. So, like, the fact that they've even survived anything up to this point is crazy.
just stumbles upon the hospital, huh?
Agreed.
Running for your life, frantically
Another,
running for your life, and then you stumble upon the
and then
hospital.
it's super fortuitous to just have this hole that only she can fit in.
Okay.
And
Only she can.
two episodes in a row now because last episode,
Yeah.
when her and Dina are running away, they get into the subway and it's the same thing.
Mm,
Fine, like literally, it looked the same. It's just like this hole under concrete, and they just sneak
yeah.
through. I was like, okay, like you listen, like I didn't have a problem with the first time. I'm like, you're doing the same exact way
Yeah,
for
that's
again.
true.
Again, I kind of wish they found like a different way to for her to do
Yeah.
that.
I
Um,
just wish she
but
meant to do it, like I just, like it would have made all the difference in the world to me if, like before they split up, Ellie like intentionally knows where the hospital is and intentionally makes the decision to head towards the hospital instead of sticking with Dina and Jesse. That for me would have been that would have been a great character moment as well, where she's like, okay, like I'm gonna do this no matter what. But instead, they just accidentally split up, and then she accidentally finds it, and it's just, I think it takes a lot away from like, why are you even here, dude? Like this, like,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I don't.
um,
Well, they don't accidentally split up. I mean, they split up on purpose, right? Because Dina
yeah,
gets hit with the arrow, and then
yes.
they're
And
like,
Ellie's like, I'll lead them away, and we're
"Wait,
whatever.
get
Yeah,
back to the theater."
yeah,
So yeah. Now she accidentally just finds a hospital. That I totally agree with, which is
yeah.
just like okay. I agree. It would have been cooler if she like knew, kind of. I don't know. Even if you had like another minute scene of like her like I don't know, just some way of her knowing like how to get to the hospital, and like he just tells us that, oh yeah, she actually knew kind of what she was doing and where
Yeah.
she was going. But I agree, she just like comes
Just
out
picked a random hole, and then she was there. It's
and
like,
she looks through the woods and there's just the hospital, and it's just like,
and
okay,
then, and not just that, but not only does she just stumble upon the hospital, I'm like, yo, that's a big hospital. How did you find Nora?
dude, totally agree. Yeah,
I'm like, what?
like how did she not get?
Nobody was there except Nora? Is that what you're saying? Like, and then she runs out, and all these people are shooting at her. I was like, where were these people when she was sneaking inside the hospital? I'm like, what the? I
And
was like,
no,
how did
I agree. Yeah, and
in,
Nora's in
in
a
the
random room. Like, how the fuck? How long did it take her to find her? Like, I mean, honestly, like, I
yeah,
agree. I was just they kind of just skipped to that. I wouldn't have.
dude,
I
I
would
was
have
like,
a little bit of
in the
that too. Like, how
in
she
the
got.
game, Ellie is literally hunting her down all the way through. She fights her way through the entire hospital and then fights Nora. And then for you, also, it's a very like it's a hard part of the game.
Mhm.
You just got through Seraphites. You got to the hospital. You finally got to the hospital. And now you're fighting your way through the hospital. And then this bitch Nora fucking runs. And then you're having to chase her down all the way down to the basement of the hospital where there are spores. And then you get this scene. And it's very rewarding. And I just feel very robbed, of a lot of the tension and not necessarily action, but the tension that you felt of her having to work her way and just killing all these people and get to in order to finally get to Nora. And I'm like, dude. And they just literally cut to her from this
Yeah.
hospital parking lot, and then she's just in the same room as Nora. And I'm like, I need some answers, dude. But everything after was good. It was basically scene from the game. One thing I do want to notice before we move on to that was, you know how they brought in the dogs?
Mhm.
And the dog was like trying to sniff out Ellie and before she went into that hole. It was This is the exact part also when she gets to the hospital that the dogs are introduced. So I thought that was a really cool detail. But
Yeah, I thought I honestly I thought like she might kill that dog. Like I was like, oh man, like is this where a dog
dude,
dies?
they
Everyone
they make you
freaked out.
feel so bad because when you kill the dogs, they'll die like really sad deaths. They're like whimpering and like
Oh,
they like
brutal.
try to they'll like try to run in place and stuff, and you're like, damn, this is kind of fucked up.
That is brutal, man.
And yeah, it's brutal. It's
I'm
super.
wondering if they even do that in this show. Like I don't even know
No,
if they're gonna go to those.
yeah, I don't think they got this. I don't think they have the guts, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's a good enough show for them to do that and people not to just boycott it. Like
Yeah,
you start killing dogs, man, people are gonna like hate it.
yeah.
But if it's a good enough show, people will be like, all right, it's fucked up, but like I'm gonna keep coming back and watching it
Yeah.
because like
Well,
I
what
don't know.
the reason the game did that was it tried to make you feel pretty bad about anybody that you killed. So before, I mentioned that basically every NPC has a different name. And like they'll talk to each other and be like, "Brad, go over that way and cover that area," or something. So when they die, people notice and they feel things. And the game like goes out of the way to try to make you feel bad every time you kill someone. And it just kind of adds to that theme of like how revenge is like, if you're gonna dig a grave, make sure to dig one for two or something, so um it really adds to that theme. And I just can't help but feel like we're really missing out on the whole point of that, so
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, yeah, she hasn't really killed anyone this season.
yeah.
So I mean, except for probably Nora at this point. But
Yeah.
Nora was already dying. Uh,
Nor that in some ways some see that as a mercy.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, not the torture
She
part.
yeah, she
I
got
wouldn't
the
say it was
adrenaline.
merciful. She's
Hey,
definitely torturing her. So that part is pretty. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. Everything leading up to it, I kind of agree. I mean,
yeah,
but anyway, she gets there.
she gets there.
She finds Nora. I thought that was a pretty good scene where like you feel like Nora kind of like breaks her down emotionally. She's like, I get it, no one should see that, blah blah. And Ellie's like, you kind of like starts to she's kind of starts to like I don't know, look not as like angry and more just like yeah. And then Nora's like, but that bitch had to die. And then
Yeah,
Ellie's
yeah.
like, oh,
Fuck,
fuck.
she was like,
I was
fuck
like,
that
fuck
bitch. Yeah, got
yeah.
what he fucking deserved.
Yeah, and
That
I
was
was like, oh fuck you, and then it all
yeah,
started. Which
yeah,
so I also thought it was funny how like she's running through, and she's like, someone fucking help! And there's only like two wolves in this hospital that can like
yeah.
try
Uh,
to, and they have terrible aim. They're just
she's
shooting
in a wide open area, right? Running through a wide open room. They have the high ground,
at the
looking
high ground
at
with rifles.
yeah
Yeah,
with
with
rifles.
assault rifles, and they just miss everything. And there's only two of them. I'm like,
Yeah,
how do you not have like a ton of people in this hospital? I don't know. Yeah. Again, that's just kind of part of the whole
yeah,
fortuity thing that we were talking about, but
yeah.
whatever.
But
But then I think the rest of it is
yeah,
great.
but yeah. Also, the dialogue, word for word, basically the like from that point where she holds Nora at gunpoint, you're basically watching the cutscenes from the video game. That's where they didn't change almost anything.
Okay.
They might have added on in a line like a couple of words here and there just for like the show. But it was basically the same thing. Which I think was definitely in the show's favor.
Yeah.
I had some hope that the more that they diverged, the better the show might be. But now I'm like, let's just stick to the script at this point.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Yeah.
I think that was true in like I remember when we were covering the first season, you were saying like some I think a lot of it was pretty true to the game, but they definitely diverged from some things and
Yeah.
you generally were okay with what they did for the show. Like you were generally okay with the changes, they made sense. This season's definitely been a different tone, I think, on that. Like you definitely had a different tune where it's like a lot of the things they're doing differently in the show, it's just you're not a fan of.
And for me, it is interesting because I thought there was a bigger opportunity with two. Like narratively, one is way stronger. Two, the game narratively, it's a bit of a mess.
Mhm.
So I really thought this was a huge opportunity to improve on that. And I think they're making the game look way better
Better.
right now.
Yeah.
It's making me reconsider maybe it's not that much of a mess as I had initially thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No.
I did really like how in the second episode that they took some time to flesh out Abby before she killed Joel.
Yep.
That was a change I was a huge fan of, and but yeah, I think after that second episode, maybe even the third episode, these last couple episodes, I can't say I'm a big fan of any of the changes that they are currently doing right now. Any of the cuts, any of the changes to the scenes, can't say I'm a
Yeah.
big fan. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then yeah, so I think the strongest part of this episode was this last scene for sure. And I thought again, like when Nora gets to that elevator shaft and you can immediately her face changes like, oh shit, like I'm not supposed to go down here. I think that's where that opening scene of the episode worked really well for the audience because like otherwise you would be like, well, why is she so worried about this? Like we would have no idea of like what's potentially coming. Like we're like, oh, why is she like so worried about going down the elevator? So it made it like I think us knowing that like, oh, she's going into some shit, like made it much more impactful when she's like just running for her life. She's like, I have to make this decision to go down to this basement because I'm
yeah,
gonna get killed either way. So, and
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if she actually knows what's down there. That's the thing. Like, I think they told everyone, like, obviously they sealed off the basements. I think there's like different levels of the basement. And they told people, like, obviously don't go down there, don't like go down this elevator shaft, all this stuff. But I don't know if, because in the beginning, like, the one woman, like, leader or whatever, basically says, like, this is on a need to know basis. So, like, I think they're trying to keep the whole spores thing, like, under wraps to not
Mm,
freak everyone out, and only like I would imagine like the top kind of ranking officers know about it. So I'm almost wondering if Nora doesn't know what's down there, and she's like, okay, well, I have to take my chances and
yeah.
try to. Otherwise, like if you know you're running into that, do you even do it, or do you just try to like hope Ellie misses and you like I don't know, fight
I
Ellie up there and not go down there? So yeah,
The way I took that scene was that she did know it was spores, and her plan was basically to take
kill Ellie.
Ellie down with her while because
Possible,
she's
yeah,
already dead, so in order to save her friend,
yeah.
that's kind of how I took it, but um
No, that's fair. That's probably more likely. Yeah.
because when she sees her, she's like she kind of throws in her face and she says something along the lines of like, haha, bitch, you're breathing in spores
Yeah.
or something. And
Well,
then
she goes
Ellie's
like, "You
like,
stupid bitch, you killed us both." That's what actually what
yeah,
she said.
yeah. And then Ellie's like, did I?
Did I? Yeah.
Kind of an ice cold line, bro.
High school line, high school line. Again, though, it's like, dude, Ellie, like, this could be a totally different thing that could actually infect her. That's the thing. Like, her just running down and not even know. That's where I think that the
Oh,
sports things didn't. That's
oh,
one of the parts that didn't work
it
because,
did.
like you said, in the game, that's established from the beginning of the first
Yeah.
game. Like,
Yeah.
so she
She
knows
knows. She knew all the way
this
through.
is so
Here,
new, and
she's
she's like,
just breathing this shit in, and she's like,
yeah,
am I good? I don't know. I
yeah.
don't even know what this is.
So confident that like anytime she gets bit or she runs into something new with these spores, like she's not gonna get infected. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
At
you're right.
least
You're
how
right.
mind works, I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
take the fucking chance ever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So
You're right.
anyway,
And it's something that she has never seen before. Like
never
seriously.
seen. Yeah.
It might not even be cordyceps. You could just be breathing in poison.
Yeah, who knows? Exactly. Like who knows?
Yeah.
Like, who the hell knows actually
Yeah.
what's going on? Yeah. But anyway, so but yeah, and then I think I mean like another example of terrible aim, like when Nora's at, like the elevator shaft drops, and Ellie's just at the top, she has clear shots. Two of them. And Nora's just laying there. I'm like, dude, you gotta hit that. You gotta hit that. I'm like, you can avoid this whole thing if you just hit that. But again,
You're
I
here,
don't.
Ellie. Why are you here?
Yeah, yeah. I know. I imagine she's trying to like be careful because she wants to like interrogate her because she
She
needs to
has
know
to find
where
out
Abby
where
is.
Abby is.
Like,
That's
get
all.
that? Like, she's not trying to kill her probably, but like, I don't know, man. You couldn't hit her leg or like her butt or something, and then like she's just incapacitated, and you don't have to.
Hey, hey, this is the same girl that blasted an infected's head like 3 inches away from Dina. Remember that?
That's true,
But
but that's not
hey, a
perfect shot.
clear shot down an
She's
elevator
just kind of like
shaft.
this. Yeah.
Just,
Damn. Yeah. Uh,
but clear shot down an elevator shaft. It's
yeah.
different.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we already talked about like the whole spores design and all that. I thought
Yeah.
that was yeah, it looked amazing, super creepy and gross and just like
Mhm.
what the fuck. And then yeah, I mean that last scene with her and Nora was really cool. I mean, dude, my favorite part of that scene was that red light, that red lighting, that
Yeah.
some like emergency light. I
Yeah.
thought that made it look so it just made it so much darker and
Yeah.
she looked like the devil at one point. Like Ellie's just like, I'm
Exactly.
gonna fuck
Yeah.
you up. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that she emerges from the darkness and then before she says, "Did I?"
Yeah.
Really, really well shot. Yeah.
That was
Uh,
yeah, that was a
yeah.
badass line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, even like the camera angles were exactly the same from the game. So it's like literally shot by shot,
Yeah.
almost perfectly from the game. Yeah. So really,
So we do find out that, at least in the show watchers, that Ellie did know what Joel did. This is really the first time that we get that
yes.
that it's like concrete that like we she knows. Um, and so I thought that was interesting because I wasn't sure this whole time.
Mhm.
My whole thought, what theory was like, she knew he did something but didn't know the extent of it. Sounds like she knew all of it.
Mhm.
She probably she didn't know it was Abby's dad because Joel didn't know it was Abby's dad. So like,
Right.
but she knew that he killed all these people and probably including the doctor. And I'm assuming we'll find that out next episode, like how she found out. I mean, it's probably a conversation they had, and that's probably the source of the beef. But either way, so because when Nora, she's like, "Do you even know what he did?" And she explains it. Ellie like kind of her face changes and she puts her gun away, and I was like, "Oh, maybe she's like, wait, no, I didn't know what he did. Like what?" And that maybe that was gonna like kind of change the situation, but no, she's just like, "I know, it doesn't matter." And I'm like,
Don't
"Damn,
care. Yeah.
okay, yeah, or I don't care." That's what she says. I don't care. Yeah, yeah,
That conversation was not from the game. So that was something they added. And
okay,
I thought that was really interesting and actually a really great inclusion because Nora doesn't talk about that in the game, So
yeah.
yeah, really good
Yeah,
inclusion.
and like you said, I mean, I thought it was cool, like her realizing, oh, you're the girl, like you're the
Yeah.
immune girl, like the stories
You're
are,
her.
you're her, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was all really cool, and then, yeah, man, she looks over the corner and pulls out picks up that pipe, and it just starts whacking on Nora like Abby was whacking on Joel, dude. It was,
Where is she?
yeah, she started going Batman, except with with
Where is she?
Rachel. Yeah, that's literally we
Rachel.
were watching and we started doing that, like right after, like where is she? Um,
Dude, and whenever I hear like where is X, that's all I think about.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
whenever somebody yells out,
Yeah.
where are they? Or where's Bob? I'm like, where is she?
Yeah, that has become like such a meme and just like,
Iconic. Yeah.
yeah, iconic. Yeah.
I got it. It's
Um,
iconic. Yeah.
so yeah, man, I mean, that was a great scene. We saw
Yeah.
like Ellie doesn't give a fuck. She will
Yeah.
torture someone till they give her the information.
Yeah.
I'm curious
I'm
how that ended, but
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they go about and which flashback they choose for this next episode, or how they go about it. But I loved how Ellie's reaction to Nora's whole deal, and that was very Ellie. Yeah, I think exactly how Ellie would have reacted, or how Ellie reacted in the show would have been exactly how Ellie reacted in the video game, and I
finally,
really like
finally.
finally, exactly. Thank you. Finally, I'm like, So it was really cool to see. One thing I do want to say is that the game includes this one shot where Ellie starts slamming away at Nora, and then it just kind of cuts. And it's like it cuts from a black screen to Ellie like hand just shaking, like she blacked out from like a fit of rage, and she's just coming to from like blasting away on this body, and that was a really awesome depiction of rage that I remember very vividly from the video game, and I was kind of hoping that would include that shot. Just like just her slamming away and then cut to her hand shaking, and just
Yeah, that
standing
would be kind of cool. Yeah.
um, because I love that, and it's just but at the same time, small sacrifice. What they did instead was they cut to a really peaceful memory of her and Joel. And that is very different, but still a really good interpretation. So I'm totally okay with it because they did not do that in the video game, and they didn't that's not where they cut to a flashback of any kind. So um, really, again, I have no idea what they're going to do. Again, there's basically four very important flashbacks, all of which would apply for this next episode. But if they're going to do the conversation about where Ellie finds out, um, cool,
Yeah.
cool,
I
cool.
kind of hope that's what we get. I would like to.
It would make sense. It
Would make,
would make sense.
make a lot of sense.
It
Yeah.
would make sense. It's not the flashback I want, but it would make sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, yeah, no, I think, yeah, it was great seeing Pedro Pascal again. I was like, oh, Pedro.
Dude, homie looked good. I was
Ah,
like,
I was
yeah,
like, oh, give me like one more episode of him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just like, one more.
and
Give the
yeah,
people what they
and
want.
yeah,
Um,
and we get to see Dad Joel, like
Agile, yeah,
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 which I feel like we didn't really get enough of. At least in part one of the video game, you get like a few hours of that, but in the show, we don't really get too much because it's he calls her baby girl after Ellie escapes the cannibals. And then we essentially really only get one scene where Ellie and Joel like talk about how Joel almost tried to kill himself, but he couldn't do it, and how finding Ellie basically healed him. And then next scene he's murking fireflies, but so I'm excited to see more of that, like apex like Joel and Ellie relationship where they are like the best of friends right now. So
yeah,
very excited to see that.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, that would be cool. I guess couple more things. I thought it would be even more ruthless if Ellie like tortured her and then didn't kill her and just let her like become infected. Like
Dude,
let
I,
her
I was like, yo,
become.
that's a cool way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? Oh, thanks for telling me where Abby is. Peace.
Okay, bye.
Enjoy the rest of your
Bye.
life. As
Hey,
a
I got some water, bitch.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God, like that'd be so ruthless. And I also think it definitely we I kind of skipped past this, but I think it was important that like it totally made sense for me for Ellie once she sees the hospital, like to totally make the decision to go because I think she's
Yeah.
thinking if she goes back to the theater, Tommy and Jesse are not letting them carry
Oh,
on.
she's leaving.
They're,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going back. I mean, Dina's
Yeah.
now has an arrow to the knee. I don't. I mean, she tell Jesse she's pregnant? I don't know. I'm kind of interested about that. Like, does he know now? I feel like you got to tell him, bro. Like,
God, dude.
you got to
It's
tell
not
him.
a conversation they ever have. Oh my God. In the
Like, I feel like
game. We
got,
better see that.
yeah.
Holy
Um,
shit.
so like if she goes back to the theater, there's no way this is happening. And she sees that hospital, she's like, this is my only chance to do this. So I did actually like that narratively for Ellie. Like it was like I think it was telling us she still really wants to do this. She still really wants to kill Abby. And so she's taking the risk to do this alone, which like we said, she's kind of incapable of. I mean, so far so good, I guess.
Yeah.
Very fortuitous though.
Fortuitous. That key word today.
Yeah, that is the
Fortuitous.
word of the night. Yeah. So we'll see. But it did make sense for her to just be like, no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So I did like that part, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I think as a whole, definitely had some mixed opinions, but I did really like the end. I just really liked I thought it was so cool seeing uh that the shots from the video game just really like interpreted into real life. So that was really, really awesome. And now, this is officially, I think, other than that random dude that Ellie stabbed in the neck when they were running away. This is the first person that Ellie has killed that has actually had something to do with Joel's death. At this point where Nora dies, I think Ellie has already killed two others of Abby's friends. So Nora's the third one that she is killing, besides a literal mountain of bodies that are WLF and Seraphites, but two other of Abby's friends. So, it's good to see that, they're finally starting to get going in terms of the body count. Hopefully, I do really want to say this. There's a really important part coming where uh there is really pivotal scene coming up that is either that should happen this season. I think it narratively it would be a mistake if it did not happen this season. And I am a little frightened of how they're going to handle it because it's brutal. It's really, really brutal. So, they haven't really, in terms of violence, they've done a good job of interpreting like, like the guts hanging out and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's a bit more than that. So, and this is a scene that's gonna really test actors right now. So, I'm interested to see it. And I hope that we at least get that far in this. Otherwise, they're basically, this is like an intro season, and I don't know. I would not be a fan of how they handle this season at all if we don't at least
Gonna
get,
give us a
yeah,
15 episode season next season.
yeah, So I'm just like,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But yeah, I think, but yeah, I'm excited for this flashback episode though. I'm really, really excited, really hyped for this. So
I mean, listen, the flashback episode they did in the first season was fantastic with the her and her friend, like, when they're in the mall. Like I thought that was a great episode. So if they can reproduce that kind of, and now this is with Joel, like a character we all know and love. So if they can reproduce that kind of feeling, like I'm very excited as well.
mhm.
I always get a little like, oh man, like if this whole episode's a flashback, there's gonna be no action probably, which is always like I don't need action every episode, but like it is just in a zombie show. I always do look forward to like what new scenes are we gonna see with this kind of stuff. So
Yeah. It not just that, but the thing about making a whole episode of flashback is that there's no progression in the present storyline,
I forgot. Yeah,
So, and we spent nearly two episodes of last season doing that. And one of them, I do think it wasn't worth it,
what
and
was
that's
the
that Bill and Frank episode.
the Bill and Frank?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that it was a good episode, but like the what we lost in terms of the progression between Joel and Ellie's relationship for that
Mhm.
during that time that they spent at Bill's, dude, enormous.
Yeah.
Just literally, I feel so bad for show watchers because you missed some amazing scenes between Joel and Ellie. Some really like really awesome, really funny scenes. So, it's a huge missed opportunity. And so I really hope they don't go the whole episode. But that's kind of why I'm not really, I'm kind of hoping they go one of the other flashbacks because they could squeeze that in as like an intro thing before they continue with the present
Maybe they
story.
do.
They have,
Yeah.
they have two episodes left, dude. They
Yeah.
got two
No,
episodes.
no,
This is not a lot of time, boy.
no. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, things need to start moving.
Yeah. And maybe that's what they'll do. We'll see. I guess would you think of the acting overall in this episode?
I thought Belly Ramsey did a pretty good job. I thought I'm not ready to say that she killed it. But I thought the ending scene she did a pretty good job. I think that she did a good job of capturing that like darker, almost like sadistic side of Ellie of how she responds to violence.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the big breakout for the show though is the actress that plays Dina. I think
Agreed.
she is killing it. I think she's straight up killing it. And even with some like really cringy dialogue lines, and I can't say I'm a huge fan of how the dialogue is being written in general, but I think her acting is superb. So, and she's just yeah. So, and then I'm excited. I know young Mazino is a fantastic actor. So if you've ever watched Beef, he's amazing in Beef. So I can't wait to see what he's got in the role of Jesse.
Yeah, I mean he's been good so far in what we've seen him, but we haven't really seen him in like duress. So
Yeah.
uh yeah, I'll be curious to see that. Yeah, I agree overall. I thought the acting was good. And I mean it's more about Bella Ramsey because that's kind of the controversial. A lot of people don't think she's
Yeah, indeed.
a good
Uh,
actor. And I think this episode, I think she was pretty good. And then the other thing you mentioned in the beginning of this podcast that the kind of what the relationship between Dina and Ellie isn't really working for you, like what they're doing there in the show. What's not working for you exactly?
Yeah, I think they are fleshing out and rehammering a lot of points that are already pretty established. They seem to want to give it as much depth as like Joel and Ellie's relationship, and they like for example this scene, they spend a lot of time triangulate like the whole thing where, they flirt and they talk about triangulating.
Mhm.
I think scenes where they are fleshing out Dina's backstory are important. Those are essential, crucial scenes. I did not really like the whole scene where, they're just like flirting for like an extra 4 minutes. I also thought this episode was really short. So, I was actually hoping we do get a little bit of a flashback in order to end the episode today or last week. And I
Mhm.
think that might have been pretty good. This episode felt really, really short for me. So,
There's a lot of it was
and
packed,
just
a lot packed in.
yeah. So I would have loved if they cut out because we've seen enough of them, like flirting and like and
Yeah,
acting happy-go-lucky. And honestly, again, for me, that does kind of tonally confuse me as a viewer because I'm like, what, why are you guys here? Is this a vacation? You guys having fun doing this? Or, we could here to kill some people. And I'm just for me, it kind of goes back to me saying that I just don't really feel like Ellie is locked in the way she was in the video game, Like like her and Dina aren't really like they're not they don't flirt, It's like they're here on business, and Ellie is not in a joking mood at all, and it's definitely a little bit more somber, but it's very appropriate for what they're there to do,
yeah,
yeah, so I think it really takes away from the tone, but also the theme of what season two is supposed to be about, and it's supposed to be about revenge. And I just don't really feel like viewers are really like able to get that right now, like
yeah.
uh y-
They definitely spent a lot of time. I mean, yeah, they definitely spent a lot of time, like establishing this relationship more. I almost feel like half
and
the
it's important, but it just not the I think the way that the game did it was very natural. It was like, as they're doing important things, they're fleshing things out, but uh here I feel like we're spending so much time where they're like making little jokes and like nearly last week we might have spent almost 20 minutes on that, and then this week we spent maybe another 5 to 10 minutes in a 40-minute episode. And I just feel like it's poorly allocated.
yeah.
And it's just yeah. And it's important. The relationship is important, but it's not the central theme of the game, right? So
Yeah, I think overall it's working for me. I mean, I don't know, it's almost like the light parts of like the show, like it's kind of
Mhm.
like the happier, lighter parts of the show because it's a very bleak, somber story. I mean, really, and just like the world they're in, and just all of it's very bleak. So I don't know. For me, it's like I do like to have some kind of like alleviation
Yeah.
from that darkness. Otherwise, I think it becomes a harder show to watch for a lot of people, to be honest. And I think also it's kind of like you see like Ellie's in love with this girl, and it's like part of the reason like that's kind of what they're fighting for, right? So I don't know, like I think that part kind of works for me because like I think a lot of the stuff they do, like it's it's very cute. I agree. Like they spend a lot of time on some of it, especially like it kind of made more sense when they weren't in the shit. Like they were just getting to Seattle, and they're like, oh, like this is gonna be
Yeah.
easy. Everything's worked out
Like
so
that's
far.
natural. Yeah,
That's
that's
natural,
natural.
but
They're going to Seattle, and I think it would have been better if they
yeah,
fleshed all that stuff in
I
there.
agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, like after last episode where like they were in the shit, and then like now like start of this episode, it's like again like it's kind of like that happy-go-lucky, cheerful, like oh hey cutie, but it's just
Yeah,
like, would you
and
really be
then
like that? Like you're just like you're in the middle of a mess right now. Like I
dude,
just
like they're literally surrounded by stalkers. And then she's like, I love you, Ellie, but blah blah blah. And then Ellie's like, you love me? And I was like, please,
yeah.
can we focus? You guys are about to die. Okay. I was
No,
like,
I
dude, it drives
know.
me nuts. Some of these lines are so bad, dude.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree. Some of it's too much. Like it is. Some of it's over the
She's
top.
like surrounded by
It just doesn't
stalkers.
make sense for the situation. Yeah, it
They're
doesn't make
about to
sense.
die. And she's
Now it's
like,
like last episode, Trish, she's just like, I'm pregnant, and then they just start making out. I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I don't even know.
it
Yeah,
just
I agree with that overall. But I mean, I don't know. I do like kind of I don't know. I like how they've established the relationship, and I definitely and I'm wondering if it changes now because like again, it's just kind of gotten worse for them now. Like Dina, her legs, like she has an arrow in her leg, and
arrow in her leg. Her baby
the
daddy's
adults are
here.
there, and and it gets complicated because her baby daddy's there now.
Baby daddy is here.
So like I don't know,
Hey,
man. Like
hey,
this,
we got a love triangle now, And
yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm worried that's what this might devolve into is like, and it's just not what this is about, like it's
No, it's
not what it's
not.
about, so
I don't want to become that either. I mean, I'm sure like they'll address it, but like I hope it's not like
I don't think it's gonna be like well written though, because it's not addressed ever officially in the game. So they
mhm,
don't have any dialogue from the game to base this off of. And as I have seen and witnessed, the lines, the dialogue that they are writing for this romance between the two of them is not good. Like I think a lot of the lines that carry from the game between their conversations, like the conversation that they had in the entire tent. Um, Most of it was from the video game, and I'm not a whole fan of like, oh, rape my kiss stuff, but I think that whenever they have really diverged from a lot of the dialogue of the game, especially in terms of this romance, it is just like pretty rough stuff.
yeah,
One other thing is that, in the game, you really got a sense of how much Dina cared for Ellie and how much Ellie cared for Dina, a lot through gameplay as well. So, like for example, um, like when Ellie's mask, she's wearing a gas mask and it breaks. There's a hole in it, and that's basically a death sentence because she's starting to breathe in spores, right? And Dina's immediate reaction is, let's try to share mine, and starts trying to take her mask off. And because she's ready to like try to make that sacrifice in order to save Ellie's life. And for me, that was really like impactful. Like damn, like Ellie is not, or I barely know Dina right now, but she's willing to like
yeah,
basically risk it all in order to try and make sure that Ellie's okay, and that's where, and Ellie basically has to reveal herself, otherwise Dina's gonna like kill herself trying to save Ellie, you
yeah,
know. So that really meant a lot, but it's little moments like that I think really expand a lot upon their romance. So that when they finally do get together, it's very natural for me. But in the game, these like pretty cringy dialogue and like and moments where they're trying to develop it a little bit more by including a lot of these cutesy scenes, it falls pretty flat for me. And then I just can't help but feel like the time could be better used in terms of developing a lot of what I feel like they're neglecting currently. So
yeah. That's all very fair points. Yeah, I would overall agree. Even just as a show watcher, a show only watcher, I would agree. So yeah, we'll see how much. I mean, we don't have much more this season, so I
yeah.
don't even know how much farther we'll get, kind of with
Yeah.
all that.
Hey,
But
important episode coming up though. Very important episode. Penultimate episode. This is the one that sets everything up for the season finale. So,
yeah, they need to knock these out of the park. Otherwise, I don't know. I have a feeling I'll be back for the third season. I mean, we're doing the podcast, so like obviously I'm going to cover the last season, and I like the show. I'm enjoying watching it, but I think a lot of people may dip out after this season. Honestly, I
They
just think,
need to, I agree, they need to crush it.
yeah,
And it's a good thing. I think it would have helped if they brought back Pedro Pascal a few times, and in some of these other
like
episodes.
throughout the
Maybe-
yeah,
Yeah, like let's just include like a guitar lesson,
yeah,
like an intro,
yep,
some of these intro scenes, and they've loved doing that. I think that would have been so good. Would have been so good. It would have
yeah.
been so good. But for whatever reason, they're saving it for a full episode or
Rainy
whatever
day.
next week. Yeah. So
They're in their back pocket. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, I think I've said everything I have to say on this one.
Okay. Yeah. Likewise.
Go.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the episode, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content. And comment below for any other movies and shows that you'd like us to hear us non-critics criticize. So we'll be back next week for episode 6. But until then, have a good one, y'all. Peace.
Peace.